Welcome to Stories That Hurt. Here, we share stories that touch the heart, stories that invite you to pause, feel, and reflect. Man heartbroken after stepdaughter accuses him of cheating after he marries late best friend's girlfriend. The father shared his story, wondering if he and his wife had done the right thing by getting married after the tragedy that had brought them together. 17 years ago, my best friend died in a car crash with his entire family. He wrote, explaining that they were all just 20 years old at the time. His friend's girlfriend was 6 months pregnant and had been cut off by her religious family, leaving her completely alone. The Reddit poster explained that he stepped in to help however he could while still a college student. Eventually, a couple of years later, because I was helping her with babysitting and stuff, we just fell for each other. He wrote, emphasizing that their relationship developed slowly. They married when the child, Emily, was 5 years old, and the bond between them felt natural and loving. She started calling me dad, which was so nice, he shared, describing how meaningful that moment was to him. Over time, they welcomed 3 more children together, but Emily remained just as cherished. Emily is still our baby girl, and there has never been any difference in treatment between her and the others, he wrote, adding, I love her very much. That sense of security was shaken when Emily, now a teenager, suddenly stopped calling him dad. A couple of months ago, she stopped calling me dad and started calling me by my name, he wrote, admitting he initially thought it was a phase. The issue came to a head on his 37th birthday, when he asked her directly why she had changed. She told me because I'm not her dad and just her stepdad, he recalled. Stunned by the blunt response, Emily then made an accusation that cut even deeper, claiming her parents had betrayed her biological father. She accused me and her mom of cheating on my late friend, he wrote, firmly stating that there was nothing between us prior to that. Confused and hurt, the father struggled to understand where the idea came from. She's known about how her dad was because I wanted to keep his memory alive, he explained, adding that the timing made no sense to him. Now he's wondering if he was wrong for marrying his late best friend's girlfriend. Reddit commenters quickly rallied around him, suggesting an outside influence may be at play. One person wrote, someone on her dad's side has told her this, adding that grief can cause people to place blame unfairly. Is she only mad at you or her mom also? If she's still okay with her mom, perhaps mom should be the one to have a talk with her and reassure her about the true story, another wrote. Maybe your wife can also find out where she got this version of things. I think you need to know the source. Others encouraged patience and open communication rather than defensiveness. Talk to her, another commenter advised, suggesting family therapy and reassurance that her feelings mattered. After reading hundreds of comments, the father felt the fog in his mind beginning to lift. The pain from Emily's words was still sharp, but the advice to find the source sounded like a plan of action. He realized that he couldn't just defend himself. He had to figure out who had planted that seed of doubt in his daughter's mind. That evening, when the younger children were already asleep, he sat in the kitchen with his wife, Sarah. He carefully told her about Emily's accusations. Sarah's face went pale. Did she say that we betrayed him? His wife asked, her voice trembling. But that's absurd. You were the only one who supported me when I wanted to die from grief. I know, he replied softly, taking her hand. But someone convinced her otherwise. Emily wouldn't have made this up on her own. Has she been talking to anyone from her biological father's family recently? Sarah's eyes widened with sudden realization. A few weeks ago, she asked me about her grandfather's and grandmother's last names on her father's side. I didn't think much of it. I thought it was for a school project about the family tree. The next day, they decided not to wait. Instead of staging an interrogation, Sarah went into Emily's room while her husband waited in the living room. Giving them some space. Half an hour later, Sarah came out, wiping her tears, and called her husband. Emily was sitting on the bed, scowling and defensive, holding her phone. Emily, he began, sitting on the chair opposite her, avoiding any pressure. Mom said you found your dad's parents on social media. Emily stayed silent for a moment, then burst out, Grandma told me the truth. She said you started dating before the accident, that you were always jealous of Dad and just waiting to take his place, that you abandoned their family because you wanted to erase his memory. The words cut like a knife, but now he knew the enemy. These were the same people who had shunned a pregnant girl 17 years ago because of their religious beliefs. And now they had decided to return to their granddaughter's life. Poisoning her with lies, he didn't shout. Instead, he went to his closet and took out an old, worn box that he hadn't opened in years. He returned to Emily's room and dumped its contents onto the bed. These weren't just photographs. They were letters, concert tickets, receipts, and an old diary. Asterisk, asterisk. "Look, Emily," he said, unfolding a photo of him and her biological father laughing, arms around each other a week before the accident. "He was my brother, not by blood, but by spirit." Then he showed the dates. "Here's the date of the accident. And here's a photo from your very first birthday. See me here? I'm standing behind with the camera. And here's your mom. Look at her. She's exhausted, but happy that you exist. We weren't together then. I was just bringing diapers and food because your grandparents said that a child born out of wedlock was a sin. And they kicked your mom out onto the street." Sarah added, sitting next to her daughter, "Emily, we started dating when you were already 3. I was alone for 3 years, and only this man was there as a friend. No one betrayed anyone. We found love amid the ruins of our grief." He handed Emily an old letter, handwritten by her biological father to him back in their student days. "Thank you for having my back, friend. I know I can always count on you. I never tried to erase him, Emily," he said quietly, looking her in the eyes. "I tried to become the person he would have wanted to be, the father of his child. I didn't steal his life. I devoted my life to protecting what he loved most. You and your mom." Emily stared at the photographs and letters for a long time. The cruel version of the story she had been told over the phone by people she had never met began to crumble under the weight of real evidence and the love she had felt all her life. Tears ran down her cheeks. She set aside the phone, the very device through which the poison had entered their home. "They seemed so nice. They said they wanted to see me," she whispered. "I thought you had been lying to me my whole life. Adults can be cruel and deceitful too, sweetie. Especially when they're trying to justify their old mistakes," her father said. Emily lifted her eyes to him, full of remorse. "I'm sorry. I didn't mean. I just missed him so much." "The dad I don't even know." He opened his arms and she ran into them, just as she had in childhood when nightmares woke her. "You don't have to choose," he whispered, stroking her hair. "He's your father and he will always be a part of you. And I'm here. I'm the one who checks homework, teaches you to drive, and loves you more than anything." That evening, she still didn't call him Dad. There were too many emotions. But as she headed to bed, she paused at the door and said, "Good night, Dad. Thank you for not giving up." It was a long road to rebuilding trust. And there was still a conversation ahead about setting boundaries with her biological relatives. But the most important thing had been done. The truth had prevailed. And the family had endured, but peace didn't come as quickly as they hoped. 2 weeks later, Emily stopped sleeping through the night. Her laughter became rare, forced. She hugged him back when he hugged her, but there was hesitation now, like a reflex she no longer trusted. And then, one afternoon, the school counselor called Emily had collapsed in class during a discussion about family identity. When they arrived at the nurse's office, she was pale, shaking, clutching a folded piece of paper. It was a printed email. Her biological grandparents had written again. This time, they weren't whispering lies, they were demanding. They told her she had been raised in sin, that her real father would be ashamed, that if she wanted to honor him, she should come live with them. And then came the final blow. If you stay with them, you are choosing the man who replaced your father. That night, Emily finally broke. She screamed real screams, raw and animal, the kind that come from a place too deep for words. She threw the box of letters across the room. Photos scattered like fallen leaves. "I don't know who I'm supposed to be," she cried. "If I love you, I feel like I'm killing him all over again." Her father sank to the floor in front of her. And for the first time in 17 years, he cried in front of her, not quietly, not bravely. "I miss him too," he said, his voice breaking completely. "Every day. There are mornings I still reach for my phone to tell him something stupid. There are nights I dream that he walks through the door and asks why. I'm raising his kids better than he ever got the chance to." Emily froze. You still miss him? He laughed through tears. I didn't replace him. I've been living in his shadow for half my life. I loved him before I ever loved your mom. And if he were here right now, his voice cracked, he'd be furious at anyone hurting you like this. That was when Emily whispered something that shattered the room. They said you were glad he died. The silence afterward was unbearable. Her father stood up slowly, walked to the wall, and removed the framed photo that had hung there for years. The one of two young men, arms around each other. Laughing, he handed it to her. I would give everything, my marriage, my comfort, even your love, just to have him back for 1 minute, he said. So he could tell you himself that loving me doesn't betray him. Emily collapsed into his chest, sobbing harder than she ever had as a child. The next morning, without drama or shouting, her parents contacted Allow Your Dot by the end of the week. A legal boundary was set. No contact. No messages. No manipulation. Disguised as Family. Wrote one final message herself. You don't get to use my dead father to punish me for your guilt. I already have a dad. She blocked them. Months passed. Healing was slow, uneven, real. And one night, during a thunderstorm, Emily knocked on his door, shaking. Can I sleep here? She asked quietly. He pulled the blanket over her like he had when she was 5. As the thunder rolled, she whispered into the dark. If he can see me, do you think he knows you saved us? Her father swallowed hard, I think, he said. He trusted me with his whole world. Emily reached for his hand and squeezed it. Then don't ever let go. And he didn't. Not when the ghost came. Not when the lies tried again. Not when love was complicated and painful and terrifying. Because sometimes the most devastating truth isn't betrayal. It's realizing that love can survive death, guilt, and even hatred. If someone is brave enough to carry it,